Hello and welcome to Pop Culture on Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. I am here with my co-host Mystery Chris, who somebody asked in the comments about you again, Chris. Why are you behind an avatar? I'm not going to give you shit for it every time.
Because I don't have a face, okay?
He's anonymous because we live in a cancel culture world, but you do get the benefit of his smooth, velvety voice.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hey there,
Hi.
ladies.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if you can you hear that? So my income has changed, and so I started booking a lot of dogs again. And there's a dog in here, and they're having quite a fun time in the living room. So if you can hear that, let me know, and I'll put them in another room.
Are any of them racist?
No, racist dogs. No. Wait.
I met that one white dog once, racist dog, and didn't like me.
That is true. Yes, she had white dog privilege. Yeah. So just I'll do the up top announcements first, and then we can get into things. But if it's your first time here, this is a new channel. It's called Deprogrammed. You can hit subscribe. We do have, if you want to support the show, we have a Patreon, a Subscribe Star, and we do have a Locals now. We're going to be doing some exclusive stuff on that Locals channel, but if you subscribe on any of those platforms, you can get into the local stuff. We're going to figure that out. So that's where we're going to be doing our book club when we launch soon. And I appreciate you guys who have already contributed, and by whether financially or by sharing the links and telling people about the show and the new channel. Thank you so much. Hey, chat. Hey, guys. So before we get into the main topic, though, did you see what happened with? Did you see that Patton Oswalt blocked me?
No. What?
You have a Twitter, but you're not using it.
I know. I don't know how to use things from a different time, a different world.
Cole, can you put this tweet up? It just because it's somewhat entertainment related, I figured we'd just hit this at the top. This to me, it's pretty sad, but it is also predictable. Patton Oswalt is a comedian, if you guys don't know. And what happened was David Hogg, Mr. Harvard himself, had tweeted something in support of these students in Florida who he said, they're stepping out and they're protesting the Don't Say Gay bill. That's what they're calling this new bill in Florida, which we can get to in a second why that's crazy. But he said they're protesting the Don't Say Gay bill, and Patton Oswalt retweeted it, very excited. Good, he said, good. And so I just asked him, if you can click on that first image there, Cole, I said, have you read the bill? Or I've read the bill, have you? Serious question. If you've read it, what specific language in it do you oppose? Can you point to it? Thanks for being educated about the things that you hold opinions on. And then Patton responded by
What a lame-o.
by blocking.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. What were you going to say about it?
I was going to say, have you had any previous interactions, or is this the first time you tweeted out?
Well, I've actually met him back when I worked in comedy years ago. Mm-hmm. Not that he would remember me. You meet lots of people. I was always a fan of his comedy, but back then I was probably where he's at now. I was super woke back then, and he wasn't. It's sort of like, ships crossing in the night. A lot of people woke up from wokeness when it, went mainstream and doubled down, but some people went into it, and I think he's one of those people that really has made this crazy trajectory into woke. He recently, just a few months ago, he threw his friend Dave Chappelle under the bus. He's been friends with this guy for 20 years or something, and because the mob didn't like a photo he took with his friend, he ended up apologizing and just sacrificing his friend to the mob, which is sort of like, that should tell you that you might be in a cult if you're having to sacrifice other people.
Patton Oswalt was so disappointed. You would have thought that he would be someone who would be a lot more interested in discussing ideas, given that he's kind of nerd, even though I kind of think he's a little bit of a fake nerd. But you would think he would be more interested in that type of thing. But no, He's not.
No.
He's not interested in engaging with ideas that are differing from his. He can't even explain his position. What you wrote was completely reasonable. You didn't say, "Hey, you idiot." You didn't say any of that. You know, it was completely reasonable. Just saying, "Hey, have you read the deal?" Just trying to have a discussion with a calm, rational discussion. But nope, didn't want to have it.
No.
It's ridiculous. It just shows you what Twitter has become. Just this big echo chamber where people just don't want to be challenged. They don't want their world beliefs to be challenged.
Yeah, and it's also, I think it shows that he hasn't read the bill. I mean, first of all, because you
Of
can't
course.
even put into your own words what's in it. Mark Hamill from Star Wars also tweeted, I won't show you that one, but
Uh,
he tweeted something about it and he just wrote the word gay like 100 times. Gay, 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 gay. So what's happening is the media is calling it the Don't Say Gay bill, but there's nothing in the bill about don't say gay. And so and so people, I mean, it's like, what, have you read it? Like, what do you actually oppose in the bill? It's saying there should be transparency for parents. And actually, we don't have to put this on the screen, but I'm just going to read this one part that they probably have a problem with, but who knows, because they won't answer. Um, so it says that there's a lot of stuff in here about how parents should be able to see what their kids are being taught. Okay, would you have a problem with that? No. So here we go. It's probably number 3. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So it says don't talk about sexual orientation or gender identity, gender theory, with kids age 5, what is it, like 4 to 8? You have a problem with that? Like, should teachers be teaching about sexuality to, 7-year-olds? No.
right.
I don't. So, anyway, that's not the topic today. I just wanted to know if you saw it. Because the other entertainment part that you might find interesting is that Disney, because they're in Florida, they were getting all this pressure from their employees, much like the Spotify employees were pressuring Spotify over Joe Rogan. And there were all these articles about how the Disney employees are outraged that Disney hasn't taken a stand on the don't say gay. What is it?
That's what they're outraged about. Not
Yeah.
not filming movies next to Uyghur concentration camps and minimizing John Boyega on the Star Wars poster that came out in China because
Oh,
Chinese people,
right.
many of them, don't like black people. You're just
Oh,
gonna ignore
yeah.
all that and then just like, oh, well, you're not opposing, don't say gay, bro.
Yeah, they haven't heard of any of that, I'm sure. So that doesn't make it into their echo chamber. But so then today, Disney caved, and there was this headline that Disney CEO takes a stance, and he's going to try and meet with the governor of Florida. He's going to try and meet with DeSantis. He says he's opposed to Florida's Don't Say Gay. Who cares? You're a theme park. This is about schools. Like, what do you?
So they're gonna lobby Disney to come out with like gay princess or something pretty soon. Is that
Oh,
gonna be the
sure.
answer? Yeah.
Has that not already
Didn't they
happened?
already did? Didn't what's that black guy who's gay? I know that narrows it down. What's that black guy who's gay? But the guy who
Jesse
wears
Smollett.
that's true. He is gay. There's another guy, Billy something. He wears a dress a lot, and
Oh,
I didn't they like
from the
remake?
stage.
Yeah, didn't they remake? Was it
Kinky
Wizard of
Boots.
Oz or they made some classic thing and he played like the fairy godmother or something. Pretty sure
Oh,
that
I'm
came out.
sure.
Unless I'm just imagining that and I just have like weird dreams, which it's
No, you're
possible.
right. I just can't. I'm blanking on his name. But somebody in chat, if you know it, let us know. Hi, Lissa. Um, okay, so but the topic today was you were going to tell me about this offline, and I said let's just save it for the show because maybe people don't know. But if you guys are fans of the Friday Night Tights crew, Ryan Cannell got into a bit of a internet skerfuffle. What would you call it? People were coming after him because of something he said about the Batman, and you were going to tell me what it was because I didn't watch the video.
Yeah, so the Batman came out this past week, and I'm sure you've seen the previews. It has a black Catwoman, and they made Commissioner Gordon Black, who's played by Jeffrey Wright. And there's a scene in the movie where Catwoman says that the people running Gotham have white privilege, and Ryan Cannell and many other people and myself didn't like that part. But what other people picked up on was that a lot of the people, the city officials and the police officers and other people who were corrupt were all white. And so Ryan, like a lot of people, viewed this as being a kind of a woke, for lack of a better term, kind of woke statement of sort that was weaved in through the movie. And it wasn't enough to ruin the movie for him. He liked the movie, but he was noticing, saying that, the only white characters who were good was Bruce Wayne and Alfred. And all the other people, white people, were bad, and the two black people were good. And so someone, I guess, took this video that he had posted on one of his channels and put it on Twitter, and a firestorm erupted, and a lot of black people, the Black Twitter as it's known, came after him, people calling him racist and people wishing him death on him, wanting to cancel him, ruin his life and stuff. And he didn't back down. He just came out and just laughed at it. Young Ripa got tagged in something. Young Ripa came in, and Young Ripa was making fun of people, called them crackheads, video. And that pissed people off even more.
Yeah.
And so people started coming at Ripa, and Ripa actually did a couple debates with some people that both debates went horrible for the other people, not Ripa.
I saw
but
one of those.
One of them was with the amazing Lucas. Like, I'm sure you probably know Amazing Lucas. He was kind of one of the MAGA people who came out and made a lot of money off that. But we'll leave that for another day. But yeah, so they did a long debate with horrible, not for Ripa again. And so, yeah, it's just kind of sparked that, I want to say debate, but there's no debate over, changing the race of characters, race swapping and gender swapping, but specifically race swapping in Hollywood. And I thought it was a interesting topic, maybe one we could try to talk about and I wanted to get your feelings on that, and how you feel about the race swapping in Hollywood going on right now.
Well, Moonlight in chat, first of all, Moonlight gave us the name. It was Billy Porter you were talking about.
Yes, that's him.
Thank you, Moonlight. And also says, no decent white heroes in new Batman movie except for Batman. Everyone in power, who were good, were black in a predominantly white city, WTF. Which is sort of what you're saying and what Brian was saying. Did you enjoy the movie?
I had mixed feelings on it. There were moments in the movie where I thought, okay, this might be one of the best Batman movies ever. And then I was like, maybe not. And then I was like, oh, okay, this might be one of the best movies ever. And then I was like, no, I was mistaken. This is not. And so I went back and forth. I liked the tone. I loved Gotham City. Robert Pattinson, he can't act. Like I do have respect for him, because it's easy to go to dismiss him because of Twilight stuff, but when I saw him in Tenet, he kind of gained my respect. As the Batman, he's like, some parts worked, but I didn't really think that his frame could really withstand the beating that Batman took in that movie. He just didn't seem big enough to me, and I didn't really like the Bruce Wayne aspect. Because they made him a kind of mopey, emo looking teenager, kind of because. Well, people say.
Did he wear skinny jeans?
No, I don't think so. I have to go watch it. But they were trying to go with they're trying to go with the fact that Bruce Wayne's still haunted by the death of his parents, and so he's kind of divorced himself from society. He doesn't have that fake Bruce Wayne persona where he's like the rich playboy billionaire type. He's just someone who's just very recluse, and just all he thinks about is being Batman and going out and getting vengeance. And so they were going for someone who's so obsessed with that he kind of loses himself. And I understand what they're going for, but to me that just it kind of created a little bit more of a flatter character than we're used to saying what I think Batman has, because a lot of people talk about Batman Mask of the Phantasm as one of the best, if not the best, Batman movie. And in that one, Bruce Wayne, like in other movies, but in particular in that one, was trying to have a life as Bruce Wayne, but ultimately just could not do it because, circumstance, and still haunted by his parents' death. So on that part, I didn't quite buy into. But overall, the movie's like it's okay. It's very long. It's almost 3 hours, which too long. Which I don't mind movies being long movies as long as the story is very engaging. Because like certain stories don't need to be that long. It's kind of like what I was thinking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
The story they chose for the Star Wars prequels, which was a bad story, but it was certainly one that didn't need or could be really told over 3 stories or 3 movies. So, but anyway, yeah, the movie. Yeah.
And so, what
But
did you
people
think
like it,
about
though.
what did you think about the? Well, let's just take this one as an example. Then the switching the race of Catwoman and who else? You said Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Gordon. So yeah, the thing is, prior to the past few years when Hollywood really got obsessed with race swapping, I was never really all that bothered by race swapping. It wasn't something that I cheered on, but it wasn't something that really bothered. I was just kind of apathetic to it, unless it was like a big character. But they tended not to do the race swapping of big characters; it tended to be minor characters. And I'm okay with like changing the race because I don't care about like minor insignificant characters. But if you're talking about a character that's existed for decades, that's known around the world, like Superman, I tend to view, his look as being a white guy. I view that his story is one that's, I don't say white, but he landed in Kansas, the middle of Kansas, and was raised by a kind of rural family, and that shaped his mindset and really instilled with him an ability to kind of control some of the worst aspects of humanity. He was kind of given this need to really serve kind of humanity. He had this kind of blue collar mindset, and that's part of the character. And if you switch it to, say, a black person, like are you gonna tell the same story? Does a black Kal-El land in Kansas still? Like, how does that work? Or does he land in like the middle of Harlem? Like that changes the story. So I don't like in that regard, but I can look at certain instances where they change characters, like in the Avengers. So I don't know how familiar you are with the Avengers, but Nick Fury in the comic books, the original comic books, is a white guy. Like, he's so white that David Hasselhoff played him in a TV movie in the 90s. That's pretty damn white. And so when they made the new crop of movies, Avenger movies and Marvel movies, they changed the character to a black character, being Samuel L. Jackson, which that's based on a version. There's a comic book version in the Ultimate Universe where the character is black and looks like Samuel L. Jackson because the writers actually wanted him to look like Samuel Jackson, so it's fitting that Samuel Jackson got cast as Nick Fury. But in that case, I don't know how much it is the race as it is just that Samuel Jackson's just a cool guy, and he made, in my opinion, I know it's blasphemous, for a lot of old school comic folks, but he made the character cooler in that sense, and so I didn't mind it there because with that there wasn't a explicit or any kind of subtext about racism or race, class, any kind of thing. And that's for a lot of people who watched this recent Batman movie, that was very apparent and prevented them from kind of enjoying the movie. And I get that, because the one moment where Catwoman said white privilege took me out of the movie, like, it actually made me kind of angry, and I wasn't really paying attention to stuff that happened right after that. It took me a while to get back into the movie because it was completely out of place. Because if they had Catwoman in the beginning of the movie be like this BLM person and was talking about race all the time, it would be annoying, and I would have not liked that, but it wouldn't have been as jarring for out of nowhere just start talking about white privilege. Like, to my knowledge, there's not a single Batman movie, and people correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's a single Batman movie where they specifically talk about race, and I'm counting the animated movies as well.
I'm
So
gonna go with your knowledge on this. I don't know.
okay, so
I just want to jump in for a second. When
yeah,
you said you were wondering what it would be like if they had Kal-El Superman be black, for example, and he lands in Kansas, you made me think of. Did you ever see this horror movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Maggie? It's a zombie movie.
no, what?
He's it's kind of hilarious because he doesn't shed his accent, his Austrian accent, his very thick Austrian accent, and but he's supposed to be this Midwest farmer. I think he's in Kansas or something, and his daughter becomes a zombie. But the whole movie, he's like, "I'm just a farmer like you." He's like doing that. I'm like, how did you get there?
When was this made?
Gosh, it must have been 2017 or 16 or 15.
Oh, is he going the Bruce Willis route and just making like direct to? Can't even say direct to video more because videos exist.
Yeah.
Direct to like streaming
Digital.
service, digital.
Yeah.
Movies,
If you like zombie films, check it out. Anyway, but you made me think of that because he was so out of place. It's like, how do you explain this character being here? And they never did. So some people in the chat were asking, what about James Bond?
No.
No.
First of
don't
all,
say
it doesn't. First of all, if you change the race to black, there's not a lot of countries that James Bond could like blend in to. You know what I'm saying? Like if he goes to Africa, okay, maybe you blend in. But you going to Russia or something? Come on, you're gonna stand out. You can't be undercover, agent with being black. I'm just saying, it's just not gonna work.
I like how you had an answer for that immediately, very passionate. Like,
I,
no,
I think about this a lot, like too much care.
I believe you. Okay, so what about this? Is one I didn't like. When they changed Doctor Who to a woman, and I don't know. Did you ever watch Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of pushback from people who were saying, well, I mean, Doctor Who changes his body all the time anyway, and what does it matter if the new body is the body of a woman? It was like, because there was something just intrinsic, even though it was a different actor, a different doctor each time, there was just something about him that was masculine.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking as you were saying that. There's a kind of a masculine energy, and I know some of Doctor Who's maybe not like super big masculine type guys, but still being a man, there's some kind of masculine aspect to that, and I prefer that in a character. But we live in a culture where you're not allowed to have preference for male or white male specifically, characters. Like why can't someone say, hey, I really like this character being a white male? Because you can say the opposite. You can say, hey, I really like this being, a black female, this character or whatever, but you're not allowed to say, you're not allowed to have preference, specifically white people. Someone like me saying that, people, I guess they say I've internalized white supremacy or something. I don't know.
White supremacy, yeah. Somebody in chat, Tweet Girl, says, it bothered me more that they made a huge deal about it. Yeah, that's the other thing that plays into this. And I think you could probably speak to that is the bigger the deal they make about it, the more important, the race swapping or the gender swapping is, and instead of the plot.
Exactly. And that's one of the things they've been doing with a lot of movies and TV shows is really hyping up the fact that they have a diverse cast and they're, changing race or gender and stuff. And sometimes these shows, you go into it thinking, oh, this show's going to be super woke, but then it's like, it's not that woke. And when you actually view it, and kind of like Dune, when I brought up Dune, they swapped the race of one of the characters, and I understand how a lot of people kind of freaked out, but at the time I was saying, well, we don't know for sure that it's going to be quote unquote woke. Let's just wait. And turned out that it wasn't, in my opinion. Some people still managed to think it is, but in my opinion, it wasn't. It was more just like I can understand how, like in the past, I think a lot of the race swappings were more motivated by more marketing reasons or for fears that their movie or TV show won't appeal to certain demographics, or maybe in a fear that they'll be accused of being, racist. Like the original Star Wars movie, George Lucas, after he finished the Star Wars movie, realized he didn't have any black people in it, and he was afraid that it was going to get boycotted. So that's when he got James Earl Jones to be the voice of Darth Vader, because originally David Prowse, the guy who was inside the suit of Darth Vader, was supposed to be the voice. And you can find video on YouTube of David speaking. He's got this British accent, and it just doesn't have the same. It's not the same at all. Of course,
what a great kind of last minute thing to do, to then get.
But that's when it kind of worked. I understand, like, again, it worked. Like, even I understand that, George's, his motive there was to try to, diversify it. But even if that wasn't the motive, it worked, because I think there's a lot of times where sometimes these race swaps work because the person playing it's just so good, not because of their race. That's what the thing. But now it's just purely about race for the most part. There are times, again, when I still think it's a little bit more just trying to appeal to broader demographics. Other times, I think when people are trying to force it in and trying to cause controversy, trying to get people like us to say stuff, because they'll say, "Oh, why do you care that? Why do you care they're not white? Huh? You kind of racist." Like, but why do you care that? Like you're assigning some meaning to the race of it, and you're saying that I'm assigning some meaning to care to being white, and that somehow equals racist. I mean, that's what people are sensing, and that's what they're kind of pushing it back. But I do feel like a lot of it is being done on purpose. There are times when it's being done to kind of ruin the foundational story, or in the case of a movie or show based on history, sometimes they'll just push in diversity, and that just kind of gets ridiculous. That just kind of it takes you out of, for me, knowing a little bit of history takes me out of a lot of things, and just makes me start wondering if these people are trying to rewrite history in a weird way, or
of course they are. I think even if they're not consciously doing that, they're part of a belief system that's trying to do that.
Yeah. Well, what about? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, and they're tools. They're useful tools for it.
Well, what do you think about the musical Hamilton?
So I've never seen the whole thing. I apologize. I'm gonna get flack for this. I like the clips that I've seen, and I think I might enjoy watching it. So is that gonna make me? Is that an unpopular opinion? I think I would like it.
I just don't understand why. Like, not you. Why? Well, yeah, I do kind of. I don't understand why would they change the races.
Right.
I guess I should maybe read more Lin-Manuel's interviews.
I thought it was because they wanted to incorporate other like styles of contemporary rap and music that they felt.
But why even that though?
That's a good question.
Because I always joked with friends that like educational system is getting so bad that eventually like teachers going to have to like rap to their students. 1776, yo. And it's gonna be, like, I'm serious. I think it's going to come down to that. That's the way students learn. You got to rap everything towards them.
Almost everything that you joke about, I guarantee you, if we went and looked, we could find that. Yeah. That's happening somewhere. And
sorry.
And they're justifying it. Yeah, I'm sure that's happening. They're saying.
I know there's recently some video of some teachers. I think were they rapping? They were doing I think it was either for mask or for booster shots. They were doing a rap for, and it was a legitimate rap, not Alex Stein kind of hilarious parody, but this was like real, and it's more of a TikTok thing. But like in the classroom, it probably is already going on. It's got to be. It's
got to be. Look at the chat. They would most people. Well, there's some people that like Hamilton, but a few are saying it's trash. AH says, Keri, it's not simply race swapping. It's not allowing black villains or complexity. We, blacks, are good little simpletons. Also, diversity at the detriment of a good story. Yes, I agree.
And that's one of the interesting things. One of the things I've been thinking about lately is like, when does that ruin the story? Like, kind of like what I was just mentioning, like if somebody for like Superman, if you inject a black Superman there, doesn't that automatically change the story? Because if he goes to Kansas, does he get adopted by a white family? Like, does he get adopted by a black family? Like, I don't, I
Yeah,
I can't imagine that Hollywood could resist making a statement on race with that.
they wouldn't be able to. They'd be having talk about white
Yeah.
privilege. Um, okay, so I'm going to try to fix my mic just a little bit. Somebody's saying it needs to be turned up. So did you have? What about Battlestar Galactica? That was one I wanted to make sure I hit because I like that one.
Yeah, so I found a transcribed interview with Ronald Moore, who I love. Ronald Moore, that I have a man crush on him. He can do no wrong. So he created the Battlestar Galactica remake in 2004. He's also one of the main writers on Deep Space Nine. That's for sure two of my favorite shows ever. But he did an interview, and someone specifically asked him about gender, the gender swaps on Battlestar. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Cole. And specifically about Starbuck, Katie Sackhoff's character. And let's see, I can't remember. If you could scroll a little bit down where the interview starts, a little bit. So hold on, let me make my screen bigger so I can see that. All right, so let's see, and yeah, scroll down a little bit more, please. Okay, so
Knit Effery has a good question. She says, "What is woke now?" The line keeps changing.
that's why I keep saying quote unquote woke, because honestly, I don't know sometimes, because my definition is differing from other people. And I think, we could do a whole show trying to really define that. But so many people have so many different definitions that I don't think it's a useful term all that much. So I'm trying to steer away from using it now.
Also, because it's never good enough. I think that's what you're about to get to at some point
Mm-hmm.
tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want me to read this or are you going to read it?
I can read a little bit. So this interviewer saying, okay, so she got, there are so many women who do that with men who are willing to just continue on whatever they can get in hopes that they'll just change their mind. There's a lot of response that by switching it, you made Anders just a complete, wuss. Anders is Kara Thrice's boyfriend in that show, Starbucks. Right. And Ronald Moore replies, well, that's an interesting observation on the show, because I do hear comments that the show on some level has switched the gender roles and that all women on the show are strong and all men on the show are weak. And people get annoyed that men are such pusses and the men are always last ones to figure out. And the women make all the strong decisions. I don't know. That's fair. I think that's all fair. That's fair criticism. I don't know that there's anything wrong with that. I don't either, says the interviewer. And he goes on, and I feel like, so what? That's how the world operates. And then she goes on, that's what I was going to ask you. This is a fictional world. How do we know what their heritage is in terms of sex roles, sex and gender roles? Ronald Moore says, the sexual politics, as it were, of the show have always been such that I don't know why I got on this thing, but for a very early stage in development process is very important to me that the female roles be very strong. Okay, if you scroll down a little bit more. Well, otherwise, you would have to accept the premise that this is an absolute, complete, exact mirror of our world, and thus women are always subservient position and men are always in the alpha position. That's not what the shows are based on. And he goes, well, that's not really what the show is, and it's not really trying to make a matriarchal society. I mean, I don't think was ever the intention either. Women are still women, men are still men, but it's how you play them dramatically. Right? I think that's what the observation is about. But as we play these characters in the drama, the women have stronger moments and the men have more introspective ones. And let me scroll up, please, Cole. And the women tend to be more decision makers and the men tend to sort of suffer more. And I don't know that's a compliment on the state of society. It's just a choice that we made to tell the story. So what do you think of that, Keri?
Well, I like the fact that he's open to saying, well, that is a fair criticism. And I don't mind stronger female characters with in a show. Like,
right.
My issue with what they're trying to do nowadays, as opposed to Battlestar Galactica, is that the characters in Battlestar Galactica felt fleshed out and real, and they weren't just these one-dimensional, strong superhero women. They had flaws. They were well-rounded, and also the men. I disagree that they were all weak. I didn't view them that way. I thought Adama was a very strong character. Apollo, It's kind of a frat boy, you know, silver spoon kind of character, but they were strong characters, and so I don't even necessarily agree with that. What the difference I see now is when they're trying to do these strong female roles, they're just putting these women into, like Captain America. They're putting these women into these roles. It's not believable that they're able to even do all the physical fight
Yes.
scenes and stuff that you see them doing. They're just magically good at everything. We don't see, you're the one who pointed out the Mary Sue archetype to me, where they're just automatically good and better than the men at
Right.
everything. And you don't really see how they get there. They don't really have any flaws, and that's
Mhm.
unrealistic. That's not, nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the characters on Battlestar Galactica were more fleshed out. They had depth. They weren't one dimensional. And I don't think the men were wusses so much. I think there were moments when, of course, as you know, they're talking about, they do show vulnerability, but I don't think they're weak. I think it's again more of a human thing, because in that article at the very end of it, the person whose blog it was, you know, talks about how, you know, society is telling men that they can't, you know, cry and be emotional and stuff like that. And I was like, no, that's not what society's telling men. It's not that men can't cry. It's crying about what and when. Like, what is the context? What are the reasons for that? Because you got to think about the way we evolved. You know, culturally in society. You know, if you're a man, men typically fight wars, and if you're a leader of soldiers, you're going to have to make decisions that will wind up getting some of your men killed. That's war. Now, you don't want to be a complete sociopath and have no empathy for the suffering of your men, but you don't want to be so overcome with emotion that it prevents you from making a rational decision. Because if you're so overcome with that emotion, then you're going to end up not making a decision, what's going to end up getting a lot more of your men killed and possibly yourself. And so that's part of what is required of leadership and being a man. And to the Battlestar Galactica point, there were scenes in it where Adama, who is my favorite character, scenes when he would break down, but the times he broke down were when he was alone, typically was him, or maybe mostly when he was alone. But in front of his crew, he held things together because he was a leader. He had to be strong in that moment when other people were weak. That's what being a leader, being an alpha is all about. Captain Kirk, which, you know, by the way, I hope you know that every episode I'm going to find a way to talk about Star Trek.
Right.
But,
It wouldn't be you otherwise.
yeah. But like in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Captain Kirk watches or hears his son get murdered by Klingons, and in that moment he's so overcome with grief that he falls out of his chair. He screams, you know, "You Klingon bastard, you killed my son!" And he takes a moment to deal with his grief, process it, but he quickly gathers himself and is able to lead his men off the Enterprise, which he blows up when the Klingons get there. Yeah, stupid Klingons. And, you know, ends up saving the day at the end. That, to me, that's what being a man's about. It's not about denying that you have emotions that, you know, or even crying at times. It's about having control of yourself because other people are dependent on you for survival. And if you're a man leading a family, you know, your wife, your children, if you have them, are physically weaker, and they require at times to be protected by you. And it's one of the things that women in general tend to look for in men and mates and stuff.
Yes. And you see us revert to those old, you know, what the feminist part of social justice wants to call patriarchal stereotypes. And we fall back on that, though, in times of crisis. I mean, it's not all, they want to pretend like all of these gender roles are socially constructed.
Right.
And they're not. I think, like everything, it's a mix of biology and culture, both.
Yeah.
You know,
There's some,
nurture.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mix of the both. But yeah, we just live in a society that's very black and white. Everything's a binary except for gender.
I just have to laugh. Knit effery. I'm just saving my curses. It's not that I don't curse. I'm just saving them to spend them wisely. She says, "I love Lucy. She was a tough broad, but she was a lady." Yeah,
I like
that's
Lucy,
great.
but I've read articles of people like saying that because she kind of played, there are times where she's a little aloof and a little ditzy at times, but and because a lot of those episodes, like the most famous episode where her and Ethel are in the chocolate factory and the little conveyor belt keeps going faster and stuff like that. And I still think Lucy, not just the character, but especially Lucille Ball as a woman was pretty strong, and something that people are into feminism should really admire about her, because there wasn't a lot of women in that type of position back then, and she did a great job. And I have her to thank, and all Star Trek fans have her to thank for Star Trek. So there you go.
Wait, you have to tell me that. But first, Alan Conrad says, imagine equitable representation of all dimensions of humanity in literature and TV film without forcing it, because the producers are balanced in their masculine and feminine hemispheres.
Yeah, that would be nice. It's getting harder and harder to imagine, but yeah.
And then Alan Scott says, Ripley was a badass, but she also had a maternal side.
Exactly, Ripley and Sarah Connor, and that's something that's missing from a lot of the female, heroes and protagonists. There's almost this kind of anti-natalist aspect to these characters where they kind of look down on motherhood. Because I was thinking about how many of these big female hero types have children, and I can't really think of really any. No, I mean, you had Regina King in Watchmen, but they weren't even her kids. They were like adoptive kids, and they weren't even central to her plot or really much of her character at all. So it's like they're afraid to really show the feminine side. They're afraid to have female characters be feminine. They don't believe femininity is a virtue. It's like they desire masculinity, but they want it for themselves. They don't want men. So how can they make the female characters look better? They got to put the male characters down. And it's the same thing with the race. You got to put the white characters down so you can make the black characters look better.
Isn't that, and I was going to say there's something similar there that they do with race, where they sort of try and enshrine all these qualities and say these positive qualities are whiteness. It's like, wait, what are you doing? They do the same thing with masculinity. And
yes.
In a way, they're sort of male supremacists and white supremacists.
They have a massive inferiority complex. You can tell they have a low self-value. That's one of the things. Not all leftists, but a lot of people who are leftists, far left types, do have a massive inferiority complex, and so they tend to identify with groups that they think are inferior, and they buy into all these narratives and they use the culture that they've helped engineer to get themselves resources and social status that they ordinarily feel that they wouldn't be able to earn in a free market.
Yeah. So tell me quickly, because I want to get on to the game we're going to do.
Yeah.
But tell me quickly, wait, you said Lucille Ball, we have her to thank for Star Trek?
Yeah, her production company, Desilu, produced Star Trek.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Nice little tidbit there. Okay, do we want to play the game, or do we want to look through this writer's document? Or both?
Well, I don't know how much time. How much time do we got left?
Let's look through the writer's document quickly. We're definitely going to play the game. We'll do both.
Sure.
So, Cole, if you can pull up that atrocity. This is something that a screenwriter sent me, and they're sending this out to TV writers and to screenwriters. And it's called writeinclusion.org. Okay. And so showrunners. So I'll just read from the website. It says it's a think tank for inclusion and equity. Our goal is to empower writers, showrunners, and creative executives to better reflect the lived experiences of marginalized communities. That's full of social justice buzzwords.
Sorry, don't they? Well, when I ask all these questions, I'm asking them rhetorically. I already know the answer, but I say, don't they know how racist it sounds? Just assuming that all people of a particular race or gender has the same experience. Again, I know the answer, but
don't know that.
I know.
And it's also funny because they're writing this as if their audience of TV writers and showrunners and creative executives are all straight white men too. They're just assuming. Mm-hmm. So they have all these fact sheets. I'm not going to read through all their gobbledygook about what they're doing, but they have fact sheets divided by all the different privilege stack, the identity stack
Oh.
categories. So you can go in as a TV writer and you can learn how to write African Americans. Scroll down a little, Cole. We'll get to this. We got these boxes here: African Americans, disabled people.
Gotta see this. I gotta see it.
There we go. Latinx people, migrants, Native American and indigenous people, older adults, South Asians. This sounds like we're going to play Jeopardy. U.S. military veterans. What? That's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Criminal
There gotta be
justice.
terrorists. That's probably there.
East Asians, LGBTQIA plus community, and then it says new. Middle Eastern and North African people, Muslims, Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, Southeast Asians, and finally women and girls.
So where are white people?
Oh, white people aren't on here.
What?
White people aren't marginalized. Men aren't on here either.
Yeah.
Straight people aren't on here either. Christians aren't on here either.
So what's
none of the oppressors, basically.
All right. So what specifically, like, have you read specifically for any of them? Because I'm curious, especially, being black, I'm really curious to see, like, what specifically, like, I just imagined it being, like, so racist. It's like, black people talk like, hey, bro, what's up, son?
We'll read through.
Pass me that hot sauce, yo.
Yeah, it's good. Alan Scott says, I'll take Latinx for 500. Which one do you want to read through? I looked through the women one. Do you want to look at the African American one?
To quote Wesley Snipes in Passenger 57, always bet on black. Let's go with black.
Okay. Read now, African Americans. It's a lot of words here. So they have some quick facts that they want you to know. African American film directors filled 44.5% of on-screen or named roles with black actors. When non-black directors were attached, the percentage of black characters dropped to just 11.3%. That's pretty close to the percentage of black people nationally. I think
12%.
12%. So they're complaining that it's not more
Yep.
than the national average? Okay. So then they have a glossary. They have a glossary for words you may not know. And they define the absentee fathers.
Okay.
Though there are fathers of all races and ethnicities who have minimal presence in their children's lives.
Nice way of putting it.
Absentee isn't used to describe most of them, just black ones. In reality, CDC data shows that
What?
black father. I know.
They're
to.
just making up crap.
I know. In reality, CDC data shows black fathers are more likely than other dads to be with their children on a daily basis. They don't cite this stat.
Yeah. Just ignore the 76% of black children being born out of wedlock. Just ignore that.
Baby mama.
What's it say?
Baby mama. These terms have a context-specific meaning. Oh, baby mama, baby daddy. These terms have a context-specific meaning within black culture, but when used by people who aren't black, especially in official capacities like newscasters, the meaning changes. Oh, this is going to be you can't use this word.
Yeah, just like we were talking about the Fresh Prince last week. How these people believe that the race of the person's what changes the definition of the word or the meaning behind it. But it's insane.
So all they really have to say here is that don't have your characters say baby mama unless they're black.
My responsible baby's father.
Ghetto's on here. Ghetto, a racist and classist term for poor black neighborhoods. It ignores the role of government policy in creating blight and suggests there's no way to correct it. Ghetto is ghetto is one of those words that has a long history, like the etymology of that word, and the Warsaw Ghetto, like it didn't originate with black people, but it's one of those words that they want to stigmatize. They want to keep any stigma, any racist stigma that was attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep it there and say, no, this is a racist word about black people. Let's make sure it's only ever thought of as a racist word to use against black people. Why would you want to do that? Enshrine this racist word in such a way? And then they have thug. Through consistent misuse, it has taken on racial connotations. It is used to elicit stereotypes of black criminality and to dehumanize black people.
Hold on. You know who calls black people thug the most?
Who?
Black people.
Wait. Oh, okay.
No.
I know.
I mean, do we just they just forget about Tupac and Thug Life? You just want to ignore all that? No.
As we've learned, though, they're fine with. Black people can say any of these words. They just want to make sure you don't have any characters who are not black saying them. Then they have, I'm going to go back up to the first page of this document, Cole. Sorry, I started at the bottom. They have a list of overrepresented stories and harmful stereotypes. And then next to it, they have another list of things we would like to see more of. So things that are overused. Now, I'm probably going to agree with some of these. You and I are probably going to agree with some of these because they do continually, like we talked about in the Fresh Prince episode, they continually go to the same well where they're like, let's do another story about slavery. So black pain, lives filled with great pain, sadness, and tragedy, until and unless someone, usually a white person, brings joy and rescue. Colorblind existence, stories where African American identity doesn't shape a black character's beliefs and behavior. That's bad.
What? See, then that's why Superman would, they'd have to put that in a story about Black Superman.
Yeah. The magical Negro, African American patient.
I love magical Negroes.
I learned about this stereotype in part of when I was in school in my critical race theory classes or some film class I was in.
Did you ever see that Key and Peele skit with magical Negroes?
I'm sure I did. I love those guys.
It's hilarious. Probably one of my favorite skits they've ever done.
I'll have to go watch that again tonight. The token or sidekick, the best friend to the white protagonist. Uneducated or undereducated, poverty, criminalization, hypersexualization. Okay, so then these are some of the things they want to see more of. Black joy. That's a positive. The truth about criminal justice. More accurate depictions of the criminal justice system. Empowerment, stories about characters with ambition. Black women being loved.
Whoa. I was with you on everything else. This is too far. It's too far.
Patriotism. That's kind of cool. They want to see that. Explore what patriotism means to African Americans in a country that doesn't reciprocate that allegiance. There we go.
Maybe it's their patriotism for the Nation of Islam. I don't know.
Oh gosh. LGBTQIA+. They want to see queer African American stories and characters, particularly with transgender and non-binary characters.
Call up RuPaul.
They call up Billy. What was his name?
Porter.
Billy Porter. Fantasy genre and sci-fi. Intact families. And everyday activists. They want to see black activists on screen. So that was just one of these. You guys can look this up if you want to read through some of the others, the highlights. Pick your category.
I've really thought about, or I've been asking myself, like, when does a portrayal of a certain race or gender become like stereotype? Like, because like in the 70s and 80s, there were a lot of depictions of blacks as pimps and drug dealers and stuff. And if you ever saw Robert Townsend's movie Hollywood Shuffle, they kind of poked fun at that. But at the same time, even though most black people are not those things, there's a large percentage of those positions or roles, for lack of a better term, that are, held by people who are black. And so when does it become like, where's that line, which I know there's no way to fully answer that, but where's that line to when does it become a stereotype? Because it's like now it's getting to the point to where they want to like have no view of that. No, they don't want any betrayals of, say, blacks as being drug dealers or gang members and stuff, even though there's a lot of, again, the people in those positions happen to be black, a lot of them. And I feel like not dealing with it just makes the problem worse, depending on what your comment is on it, of course. I mean, you could glorify it on one hand, but you could make a comment on it about how terrible it is in that lifestyle. And so it's like this whole article is not even talking about the context in which those betrayals would occur. Like if you said, hey, okay, we're fine with, say, portraying blacks as, some blacks as being drug dealers, whatever, but we want them to be some, for lack of a better term, anti-drug message or, being against that lifestyle. Okay, that'd be one thing, but it's like there's no comment on that. It's just like no portrayals of that whatsoever. So it's like we're just kind of like pretend that's not, that these quote-unquote stereotypes aren't having some basis in reality and an ugly reality that we need to face.
Hollywood doesn't tend to do anything by degrees. It just sort of swings wildly to correct whatever it sees as being out of touch now.
Right.
So you'll go from them doing these mostly on screen when you would see these a lot of these stereotypes, like the magical Negro stereotype or the sidekick or what have you, and instead of like, hey guys, let's be less racist in maybe the way that we write and the way that we hire, instead of just being normal, they go all the way over here and they're like, okay, now let's take every famous character and make them all black, and let's make all the white guys evil. And it's like you're overcorrecting. Like there's a happy medium of just being normal.
Yeah.
Like why can't you just write normal?
Not possible. Does not compute.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I just thought this was a funny question. I've heard of this, but I've never been, so I thought I would ask you. Somebody said, have you ever been to Elf Quest?
I have no idea what that is. Is that like a Ren Fair type of thing?
It sounds like it. It sounds very familiar. I've never been. I've been to a couple of Ren Fairs. So, well, I want to play this game that you created.
Yes. Cole, if you could please bring up PDF to show page 1. So this game is I identified 10 shows / movies that are being rebooted, but that have either a race or gender or both swaps in them. And so I'm going to see if Keri can guess what that swap is, and then we'll reveal it as we go on.
Okay.
So the first one is Perfect Strangers. I don't know if you ever watched Perfect Strangers.
I did.
I used to thought it was hilarious. I love Valky. It's great.
They're bringing it back?
They are. And what is your guess as to what the swap is?
Let's go black lesbians.
Okay.
Let's go
Cole,
for
can we
broke.
go to the next page, please? There you go. I don't know if they're going to be lesbians. They probably will be. But they are black. Yeah.
Black?
Yes, they're black. Yeah, this show is currently developing. I read it's supposed to be on HBO Max, so
Ding, ding, ding.
I assume it's going to be pretty raunchous. So, yeah. All right.
Okay.
So,
why don't we just make a new TV show about
that
two
takes
black
creativity
women
and thought, Keri. It's too much work. These people are lazy.
Okay.
Okay.
But Golden Girls better not be on this list.
Oh, no, it's not. But
Okay, good.
it's going to happen. You know it is, Keri.
No.
It will. So let's go to the next one, please, Cole. Doogie Howser, MD.
Well, on this list on how to write woke in Hollywood, they did have older people listed. So I'm going to say that Doogie Howser is a 60-year-old trans woman.
Okay. Survey says, next page, please.
A 60-year-old trans white woman. Oh, no.
It is a Asian female.
Okay.
Who's also named Doogie. Why? I don't know. You're asking too many questions.
Again, why don't you just make a new show?
No, they want to make their statement. They want to use these big brand shows and movies to make their statement, our ideological statement about female superiority or whatever. Perfect
Addams,
Sisters. That's
Puppet
probably what it's called.
Sisters.
This is the next one, Snow White.
No. Wait, I
Yeah,
think I heard about this. Um, are they doing an animated or are they doing a
live
live
action.
action? They're gonna make her black, probably. Is
Okay, if that's your final answer. Any next page, please.
but she was named for because her skin was white like snow and her lips were red like rubies and her hair was black like a raven.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. A turning to a Latina, a
Oh,
Latinx.
a Latinx.
Yeah,
Okay. That girl's
Snow
pretty.
Latinx. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she was just in the what is that movie? Why am I blinking on the movie? West Side Story. I think the movie that remake just came out and no one saw. Yeah.
Oh, Lissa Kay, you're right. I did hear about this. She says Snow White ain't white and there's no dwarfs. I heard about this because the guy who
Peter
played
Dinklage.
Peter
Yeah.
Dinklage, he raised a big stink. He went on some, social media tear where he said, this is so you're changing the race of Snow White, but you still are oppressing little people. Little people shouldn't have to play dwarves. And so didn't they say, okay, we're not going to have any little people in the movie? And all these little people actors are like, what gives? Like, we are trying to get work, Peter Dinklage. Like, wow, that's like 7 of us you just put out of a job.
Are they just gonna have like grown people pretend to
I
be dwarfs,
guess.
like in the Willy Wonka movie? Well, actually, he was. I think he was. I don't know what terminology is, but he was taller than the regular dwarf. But I know there was also a movie with Gary Oldman, a romantic comedy with it's Matthew McConaughey. I forget the female who was in it, but Gary Oldman plays a little person in the movie. It's not
Oh,
a. It's not supposed to be a
really?
comedy. I haven't seen it. I
That's
want to see it.
weird.
Yeah, it's like Tiptoes, I think it's called, or something like that.
Briars and Bantam says, an Asian doctor, how brave. That
Yep,
really busts some
stereotype.
stereotypes.
I
What's next? A show about Jewish lawyers?
know. Yeah. All right. Next page, please. She's all that. Wait, don't go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
She's all
so
that.
guilty confession. I never even saw this first movie.
I
I
didn't
feel
either.
like this happened after I feel like this was for younger people.
Mm-hmm. Younger.
I mean, who is that? Freddie Prince Jr.?
Freddie Prince Jr.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I avoided him. That's why I didn't see this.
Yeah, good. Never liked that guy.
So I don't. What are they going to be? Oh, they're going to make them gay, probably. It's going to be she's all that, and it's going to be 2 women, and one's going to be black, and one's going to be an Latinx.
Okay. Okay. That's your answer. All right. Can we go next page? He's all that. They made it a dude. But look how pretty that dude is. They should have just kept the same name. She's all that. It still would have fit.
Yeah,
Dude,
so
pretty.
they didn't really change much then.
No.
He's all that. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is more about a gender role reversal, probably. Whoever
Mm.
I didn't see the first one, but they're probably going to make if the guy was sort of a player, they're going to make the girl the player this time or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Predictable. Yes,
Yeah.
tree surgeon. Incredibly predictable.
Hellraiser.
No, I used to love Hellraiser.
Oh yeah.
Are they going to make him instead of a demon? Is he going to be an angel?
No, the person playing was different.
I mean, it seems like I've already done. Okay, let's go with Peter Dinklage.
That would be awesome. The scariest dwarf I've ever seen. Oh wow.
I'm going to go with little person.
Okay. Okay. It is a trans woman.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to be central to the plot, but regardless, you're going to see a ton of articles coming out talking about how brave and much progress this is. So, yeah, look forward to that. Well,
Poor Rib Rascal. He says, not Hellraiser.
yep. It's yeah.
They're coming
Sorry.
after the horror movies.
I know. All right. Next, please. Party of Five. What do you think that is? Gonna
Okay.
be?
I also avoided this.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either.
So let's see. Well, I mean, it's obviously, let's go with something easy. They're going to make it a black family.
Okay, you think so? Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And the little boy, it's going to be trans.
okay. Next slide, please. They made it a Hispanic family.
Oh, okay. And which one's trans?
I don't know, but the show got canceled, so there you go.
Nobody wants to see
No.
all these remakes. Where
Nope.
are the original shows? This is so stupid. I could just see the pitch room where they're like, okay, do you guys remember Party of Five? And okay, it's gonna be and if I'm sitting on the other side of that pitch, it's like, I didn't watch it and I'm trying not to remember it. Okay, well it's like that, but better because they're Hispanic.
Yeah, and it sucked. Oh well. Next one is Wednesday Addams. So they are making a show. Tim Burton is producing this show specifically on Wednesday Addams. So what do you think?
Tree
Shelby.
surgeon. Tree surgeon says they're all trans.
Uh,
Sorry. Let's see. Am I supposed to guess the actress or
yeah,
like okay.
the actress.
They've already named the actress.
Yes, they have.
Gosh. I wonder if they're going to go with an NB, with a non-binary person. They might go with who was that girl that was playing Batwoman for a while?
Oh, Ruby Rose.
Yes. I'm going to say Ruby Rose.
Oh, okay. Well, let's find out. Next page, please.
Who is
So I forget her name. She is Puerto Rican. But here's the thing. Here's the fair thing. So Raul Julia was Puerto Rican. He played Gomez Addams in the first two Addams Family movies, and his performance is one of my favorite performances in any movies. He was fantastic as a Gomez Addams. And the thing is, I would bet that the casting director of the original Addams Family didn't have race on their mind when they're casting him. They must have thought he was the best for the role, because I truly believe that. He's hilarious. I still laugh at his parts in the original Addams Family movies, even though parts of the movies don't hold up as well. The whole cast of those movies was fantastic. In fact, one time I told a friend I was so amazed at the cast. I was telling how many actors and that worked for those roles, but you wouldn't have thought that they would have, prior to it. Like Christopher Lloyd, who's great as Fester. And I was trying to think of another movie that had actors who you wouldn't think would be good together. And I was like, what about Men in Black with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones? And I looked at the casting director, same casting director, same director. It was weird. That was just the one movie I thought of. It was like, they just happened to be the same.
Happened to be the same casting director, yeah. The chat is cracking me up. I just wanted to see these when you were doing the reveal on who's playing Wednesday Addams.
Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson.
He looks. Have you seen it recently? Like, he still tries to put on the makeup, but he's like fat and overweight. It's kind of like Robert Smith. I love Robert Smith from The Cure, but he can't pull off the makeup in there anymore. It's kind of sad now.
And then Adam Worrell says, "Fiesta 5, muchachos." 60-bit mascot. Fiesta de Cinco.
God, I really wanted to make a racist joke, but I'm
you don't stop yourself.
It's not really a race. I was saying, I'm just gonna say it. Party of 5. It's a Hispanic family. You should call it Party of 15.
Oh, and the show goes off.
Canceled.
How dare you laugh at that, sir? How dare you make that joke? That's not your race. You can't do that.
Oops. Yeah.
How dare you?
Let's talk about baby mamas more. All right. Let us go to the next one, please. Kung Fu. Now, this is a show I've never watched, but I know of it. And I remember David Carradine.
Oh, that's right.
The guy who died by jerking it. Well, he was fixating himself, so while jerking
David
it.
Carradine, so it's a white guy playing an Asian guy.
Well, he's in the story, he's half Asian. So that's kind of got away with it a little bit. It was still controversy, but more now, people going back.
You know what would be super out of the box and they
Hmm.
would never do is they make it another white guy.
Yeah. He's got tape on his eyes, and it's just
It's
hilarious.
so wrong. Well, obviously, I think they're probably going to try and stay close to the ethnicity here. So it's going to be an Asian guy, or they're going to make it a woman. Is it an Asian woman?
Okay, next, please. Ding, ding, ding! You got it. Yeah. She's
Okay.
like some college student, and she decides to become like a monk for some reason. I don't know. But the show is apparently still on. It didn't get canceled, so. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
we got to go that
Are you getting
extra
depressed?
step. Just make it a woman.
But
Get rid
wait,
of
there's
the.
more.
Okay, what else? No, this is
Next one,
fun.
please. Uh, Pirates of the Caribbean. Who
They're
doesn't
gonna
love Jack Sparrow? Who
they're
doesn't?
gonna recast Jack Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
Heard. Amber Heard.
Yes.
Are not gonna make Jack Sparrow a woman, are they?
I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. They're gonna make Jack Sparrow a black woman, I'm guessing.
It's a white woman, but Margot Robbie.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's going to be
No.
all female. It's all female Pirates of the Caribbean we're working on.
No. This bothers me more than any of the other ones that you've shown me. This is bothersome. This is like Doctor Who. It's like that character. I don't care. That character is not a woman. I mean, I guess you could find, but not this woman, not this Fae. What you need a masculine woman in there if you're
Mhm.
gonna even attempt this.
Well, you're going to get it, whether you like it or not. So, yeah. Now
No.
you're sad. You're really bummed. You're going to be thinking about this all night. You won't be able to sleep.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that was fun.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think there's
Oh
one
wait, there's
more.
one more. Okay.
I think so. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, I know a lot of women who might be upset about this. Are they gonna make her a gay white man?
Is
That's my
that your final answer?
Yes.
All right. Survey says. Gonna be black woman.
Are you joking?
Yeah, it's gonna be black woman. I couldn't find an actual photo, so I just chose one. But I think that's accurate. A sassy black woman.
Is this just a joke?
They actually are making a black woman. I don't know if it's gonna be that black woman, but I think it would be a more entertaining show if they got that black woman, sassy black woman. Like, ain't no vampire gonna bite me. Keep your white ass away from me.
Sorry. Okay. That was the best one. I'm glad you saved it for last.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. And that's only like a smidgen of all the ones. There's so many more. Of course, we already talked about the Wonder Years one, which I still kind of want to like see, just curiosity, which is currently on. I don't know if it's been canceled or not. There's that. There were other ones. I know I think they're going to do Peter Pan. I think they're supposed to do a black woman, I think. Other ones. We'll have to play the game again because there's always more.
It just makes it seem so silly when you line them all up back to back like this.
Mhm.
I like the way you chose to do this in a game format because you're like one after the other being inundated with like, okay, it's another race swap, it's another gender swap. Frankly, I'm surprised there weren't more trans people in there.
I was
But,
too. Yeah. Glad it's not going to be happy.
well, thank you, Mystery Chris. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is our new channel. It's a Deprogrammed channel. And this is a live show that we do every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Texas time. It's called Popped Culture. Mystery Chris comes, brings his vast knowledge of entertainment, and we talk about what's going on in the world of movies and TV and presumably at some point video games, comic books, whatever you want to talk about. But thank you guys for being here. We have tomorrow on Deprogrammed 6 o'clock Texas time. I'm doing a live interview with Ariel Scarella. If you guys are fans of Ariel, she's going to be here live at 6 o'clock. And then on Friday, we have our live panel show that we're doing at noon Texas time. So we hope you'll drop by. Any closing words? We have to wrap up early tonight because Mr. Chris and I are going to go hang out with some people visiting Austin. Which is
Yay. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So, yeah, there's other stuff I could talk about, but I don't have time. But, yeah, the Star Trek's back. We'll talk about that on a future episode. And some other stuff's going on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talk about some more stuff with you.
You guys were so funny tonight in chat, by the way.
Yes.
Hail chat. Thank you. And
Hail
thanks to
chat.
Cole for helping us with tech tonight.
Thank you, Cole.
Take care. You can find us in all the places I mentioned up top. I need to get better at the ending. Okay. And now, G-Man was here last time. He was like, you have to roll a video at the end. I'm just going to roll the intro video. We'll go out on this. How about that? Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.